Sports Talk with Craig Ballard, AFC and NFC Championship game previews. Thank you for joining me as we march towards Super Bowl 46. Let's start in the AFC with the Baltimore Ravens traveling to the New England Patriots. I'll take you back here. This is a rematch of a playoff game from just over 2 years ago, January 10th, 2010. Baltimore again traveling to New England. Same scenario. Now, it wasn't for the AFC Championship game, so there wasn't a berth to the Super Bowl at stake, but a playoff game nonetheless, so certainly a big pimpin' football game. We remember Ray Rice, opening play of the game, 83-yard touchdown scamper. That game was 17-0 even. Baltimore just like that, en route to a 33-14 complete beatdown of the Patriots in New England. Very interesting scene at the end of that game, if you recall, Brady and Belichick on the sidelines conversing with each other. And we know these two competitors and these two football brains, they weren't sitting there thinking, how do we retool here? How do we rebuild? No, not at all. They were sitting there saying, how do we reload? And go ahead and get ourselves right back to being big boys in the AFC, perennial Super Bowl contenders like we feel we deserve to be, like we feel we are. Fast forward to a few months later, to 2010 NFL Draft. Wow, Belichick at it again as far as player personnel brilliance. Makes a trade with Oakland to jump one spot ahead of these same Baltimore Ravens. Because remember in that 2010 draft, now the Ravens are looking to draft a tight end also. They're looking to replace their veteran tight end Todd Heap. Belichick knows that, of course, very, very well. Does his usual player personnel genius. Trades one spot with Oakland, one spot in front of Baltimore. Drafts Gronkowski. A little while later in the draft, same scenario, one spot in front of Baltimore, they draft Aaron Hernandez. So Hernandez and Gronkowski both were that close to being Baltimore Ravens. Belichick, as per usual, hats off to him with player personnel. He snatches them both. Completely game-changing draft for the New England Patriots. He's given Tom Brady, given Tom Terrific, 2 new red zone toys to play with. I mean, are you kidding me, folks? They're both rookie seasons for Gronkowski and Hernandez were very, very good. And, of course, this year, in their second year, both took it to the next level. Both just video game status, man. They're putting up video game numbers. Gronkowski for a tight end getting about 87 yards per game. Hernandez getting about 64 yards per game. You add those together, it's about 150 yards per game from the tight end spot for Tom Terrific and the Brady Bunch. And they're stacking touchdowns. It's touchdown after touchdown after touchdown for this duo. I mean, beyond impressive. If you're a Raven fan, of course, you're sitting there saying, now, hang on a second here, Craig. How did we, the Ravens defense, how did we fare this season against tight ends? Well, the answer is, and it's part of the reason why the Ravens have to be super pumped and super excited and optimistic about their opportunities this weekend. When you look at the whole idea of the tight ends that they have faced this year, how about Dustin Keller? 2 catches for 12 yards. How about Owen Daniels? I played Owen Daniels twice. First game, 2 catches for 13 yards. The second game last week in the playoffs, 2 catches for 26 yards. I mean, completely negligible. Antonio Gates, 2 catches for 31 yards. Dallas Clark, 1 catch for 12 yards. Mercedes Lewis, 1 catch for 13 yards. You had Zach Miller, 3 catches for 24 yards. Even Vernon Davis, 4 catches for 38 yards. They certainly, in their own division, held Heath Miller in check. Both times they played him, held Jermaine Gresham in check both times. The only tight end, in fact, folks, this year that put up touchdowns against this Ravens defense, Evan Moore, the Cleveland Brown tight end. Believe it or not, all due respect to Evan Moore, the Cleveland Brown tight end, he put one up in game 1. Of course, they play, Baltimore plays Cleveland twice each year because they're in the same division. In the first game they played, Evan Moore scored a touchdown. In the second game they played, Evan Moore scored a touchdown. So shout-outs to you Brown fans, stand up, shout-outs to Evan Moore. But that was the only tight end this year, folks, who had success against this Baltimore defense. Clearly, that is the matchup of this entire football game to see. If Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and the linebacking crew and Reed lending support from the safety spot, if they're able to help out over the middle, control the middle like they usually do, then certainly the onus is going to be on the outside. The wide receivers for Tom Terrific and the Brady Bunch. Deion Branch is likely going to have a big football game. But for me, one guy that I think is going to have a big game here and certainly has the potential, we're looking at Wes Welker. I think the Patriots have made hay this entire season at over the middle stuff with Hernandez, with Gronkowski. We see how special they've been being new BFFs for Tom Brady. They've gotten a little bit away just because they've had so much success going more vertical from the underneath slant routes, the underneath stuff that Wes Welker is just so damn good at. I think they'll get right back to that this weekend, knowing Baltimore's propensity to be legitimate against the opposing tight end. I think we'll see a lot of Wes Welker, anywhere from 8 to 12 catches this weekend. Maybe north of that, folks. They're going to have Kerry Williams on him, Ladarius Webb. I think we'll see a lot of Jimmy Smith in that Baltimore defensive backfield. He's probably their fastest DB out there to chase down Welker. But I think that the Patriots can make a lot of hay in those underneath quick slants to Welker, really move the football this weekend. You're looking at the running game, of course, is going to have to be on point. If you're playing the Baltimore Ravens, you have to be able to mix in the running game. A, you have to be able to move your offense, and B, that's one of the best ways to slow down an aggressive pass rush is with an effective running game. In fact, I think that more often than not this weekend, and we'll watch this closely, when Tom Brady comes to the line of scrimmage, of course, we know he has multiple plays called in the huddle, and he'll just check to whatever he sees that the defense is giving, and we know he's brilliant at it. I think that this weekend we'll see him check to a lot fewer passes than in the past and check to runs where he sees an opportunity to get a blocker on a blocker, maybe even a double team quick block, a quick hitter for a run of 4 to 5 yards. I think Brady will be taking that all day to try to help himself in the pass game by slowing up that Baltimore pass rush. Take a look at the Baltimore defense now. Of course, when the Patriots have the ball, we've already mentioned a few guys, and it's well documented. I mean, this is an outstanding defense, again, as per usual. You're talking about a Pro Bowler on the defensive line in Haloti Ngata. This is his third straight. He's three-peating now in the Pro Bowl for Ngata. He's been fantastic on that line as well. Terrell Suggs, meanwhile, beast. Back to having a monster year. Second straight Pro Bowl for Terrell Suggs. 5 overall for this beast. And man, I shouldn't even call Terrell Suggs a beast because that Ray Lewis has so thoroughly redefined beast at the linebacker position. We know that. How about 13-time Pro Bowl Ray Lewis, 8-time Pro Bowler Ed Reed, the U, out of the U, both players out of the University of Miami stand up. Both players as well, 6th straight Pro Bowl for this dynamic duo. I mean, we know it's special Baltimore defense. My question here, has this Baltimore defense faced an offense as potent and rolling at the time they played them as much as this New England Patriots offense? I mean, I personally don't think that they have. Let's switch it to the other side of the ball now. When the Ravens have the football, I mean, one of the very obvious Craig's keys, not just in this football game, but in the entire playoffs, if you've been following, you know full well that I'm all about Ray Rice. This Baltimore Raven team, folks, 12-0 in football games where Ray Rice touches the ball 20-plus times. I mean, it's a slam dunk statistic as far as I'm concerned. Ray Rice is that good and has the potential to be that dominant. He is an absolute must. This either has to go to 13-0 when Rice gets 20-plus touches or 12-1. But the bottom line is he must touch the football 25 to 30 times. We're talking about on running plays and finding him on screens or on slants or quick hitters out of the backfield, checkdowns even, as an emergency a receiver on a certain route. Either way, has to be 25 to 30 touches this weekend for Ray Rice. That is an absolute must. In the passing game as well for Baltimore, Joe Flacco is going to have help from a guy like Torrey Smith. We could see Torrey Smith at New England. We know the Patriots are going to be scoring in the 30s against this defense. Maybe the defense pulls it down to the 20s against the Ravens defense, maybe. But for sure, Baltimore's going to have to put points on the board to hang in a football game at New England. Absolutely, Torrey Smith is going to have a big football game, going to have to make a big play for a touchdown at some point, if not touchdowns plural. Joe Smith and the offensive coordinator Cam Cameron have to be thrilled to have Anquan Bolden back. He came back last week after missing a few with an injury, caught a touchdown pass, his first touchdown in about 2 months. Clearly, they'll be looking for him to be a BFF with Flacco this weekend as well. You're also going to look at Dennis Pitta, their rookie tight end. They're using him more and more. Ed Dixon has become a legitimate red zone threat for Flacco. But for sure, we're looking at a tale of 2 quarterbacks here in my estimation, folks. It's why I like the New England Patriots in this football game. If you look at the last half of the season, plus the playoffs, so about the last 2.5 months here, Joe Flacco, 0 300 passing yard games. Tom Brady in that same time span, the same last half of the season and playoff game, averaging 322 yards. I mean, night and day there. Flacco, 13 touchdowns versus 6 interceptions in that time span. Brady, 25 touchdowns versus 3 interceptions. So Brady in the last about 2.5 months here, throwing twice as many touchdown passes as Joe Flacco and turning the ball over half as much time. He's going to be at home as well. I mean, I personally think if you look at the numbers as well, Flacco versus the AFC has been, Tom Brady versus the AFC has been wow, 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 wow. All of these numbers add up to me. The Patriots defense at home yielding only about 18 points per game. The Patriots are going to smash that. If they're only going to give up about 18 to 20, say even 3 touchdowns, 21 to Baltimore, the Patriots will romp this weekend if that's going to be the case. And third down conversions, another thing to look at in this game, absolutely. This Patriots defense in the last couple of years has been an absolute nightmare on third down. This last month or so, couple games, their third down defense is actually on a slight increase. It's actually doing a little bit better these days. And this Baltimore offense, who was very good on third downs throughout the season, you don't win 13 football games, up 14th now with the playoff game. You don't have that sort of success without being fantastic on third downs. As we know, the National Football League is all about third down conversions. Well, this is a Ravens offense that was very, very good all year, but it's actually on the slight decline as well. So we have a very hot Patriots offense on the incline, a Baltimore offense on the I really like the Patriots in this football game. Let's shift our focus now to the NFC, where the San Francisco 49ers will play host to the New York Football Giants. And let's start when San Francisco has the football, and we'll definitely want to start with some big up and some praise here to Alex Smith and the season he put together. And this was the year of the quarterback, certainly in the NFL. Really looks like we're entering the era of the quarterback in the National Football League. So a lot of quarterbacks throughout the league putting up gaudy video game type numbers. So I can see why Alex Smith's historic season, a little bit under the radar, but it was something else nonetheless, folks. How about 445 pass attempts this year by Alex Smith? 5 interceptions. 445 passes, and he was only picked off 5 times. I mean, wow, I use the word historic. I mean, you can look it up. It's one of the all-time best seasons a quarterback has ever had. Very, very impressive. Leads us to our first Craig's Key in this football game, which is going to be that San Francisco 49er offensive line, an O-line that has yielded sacks in the past. In fact, this past week actually yielded 4 to the New Orleans Saints. Will now enter a suddenly healthy, which is equaled suddenly hot New York Giant pass rush. I mean, Justin Tuck, wow. Osi Umenyiora, wow. Jason Pierre-Paul, wow. As we say, suddenly healthy, suddenly playing together for the first time really all year and are on such a roll. Very, very hot coming in. So the San Fran offensive line clearly is going to be key. As well, we would have to mention the San Fran offensive line because we know that the 49ers make their hay on offense by running the football. You know, you have Frank Gore, you have Kendall Hunter. These two had a fantastic season, getting about 130 yards per game, over 4 yards per carry. All of the above is going to have to continue this weekend if they want to have to be able to slow up this Giants pass rush and really just be able to hang in this football game and play their style of football game. We saw San Fran last week against New Orleans. They got themselves into a shootout with Drew Brees and the Saints. Is that something you want to do this week as well? Go ahead and engage in a shootout with a very, very hot Eli Manning and that suddenly hot Giants offense? Absolutely not. That's not your recipe for success. That's not how you've stacked W's all year if you're San Francisco. So they have to have a big game from the running game, absolutely. In the passing game, a stat that certainly looks like it meshes up to me. You're going to have to look and see a continued BFF going on, a continued great relationship and great connection with Alex Smith to Vernon Davis. In New York Giant losses this year, they average about 5 catches and 71 yards yielded to the opposing tight end. Well, Vernon Davis, in games where San Francisco gets wins this year, he averages 5 catches and about 64 yards. So we can see that those numbers are going to go hand in hand. Vernon Davis is going to have another big game, certainly capable of it. He's rolling right now. They hope to have Delaney Walker back as well. That could be interesting. And San Fran fans, you already know it's the same old story you've already seen before with Michael Crabtree. It seems like every week it's Michael Crabtree versus Michael Crabtree. I mean, the potential is there, the skill is there, but the drop passes are there, the underwhelming performances are there. We know, but certainly I think we would all be on the same page here. He's going to have to step up and make at least, I would say, anywhere from 1 to 3 big catches this weekend that they're going to need him to do something. I mean, big catches, important, timely, first down, maybe touchdown catches this weekend. Flip the script now when the New York Giants have the football. Dead last running statistically this season, but in December and those last few games here, we've seen some development, yes, but some production from this New York Giant running game. They've been scoring some touchdowns even for Eli in the offense. And speaking of Eli, whoa, folks, on fuego. Eli's been fantastic. These last 3 weeks, all games that the Giants had to win to either make or stay in the playoffs, Eli averaging north of 300 yards in these games. 9 touchdowns versus only 1 interception. He has been fantastic. 9-3 are the Giants this year in games where Eli is sacked 2 times or less, and including the last 5 times that's happened. So we're going to go ahead and label the offensive line for the New York Giants as a Craig's Key. Also, the defensive line for the Giants, of course, getting, and rightfully so, getting a lot of the attention these days. But that offensive line is also gaining as momentum and gaining strength as the season goes on, getting better and better, giving Eli time to operate. Eli all season, one thing I've really respected about Eli Manning this entire season, every game his numbers get better as the game goes on. So definitely impressed there. You're looking at Eli throwing to guys like Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks, both 25 and under, both well over 1,000 yards. Mario Manningham, 25. Jake Ballard, 24. I mean, this is not a window that's closing for this New York Giant offense at all. This is a run that's just getting started. You look at the other side of the ball now, the San Francisco DBs, I mean, Terrell Brown, you're talking about Carlos Rogers. We'll see a lot of Chris Culver, because, of course, Eli's going to want to go a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. And the safeties, of course, Dante Whitner and Deshaun Goldson. These are guys that are going to have to create turnovers this weekend. The pass rush has to be on point as well. Can't just have Eli stand back there. He will pick you apart. So rookie Alden Smith, of course, we're looking at you. Justin Smith, of course, we're looking at you. Ahmad Brooks. All of these guys have to be applying pressure to Eli to allow guys like Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis to roam free and be the tackle machines and be the beasts that they are. Ultimately, I do like San Francisco in this football game, folks.